Welcome to the Just Ingredients podcast. I'm Cara Lynn, and here we talk all things nourishing to the mind, body, and soul. This is a place where you can find just good ingredients to life. Liana Werner-Gray is a certified nutritionist, natural foods chef, and 4-time best-selling author of The Earth Diet, Cancer-Free with Food, which is in the top 100 cancer books of all time, and 10-minute recipes, and most recently, Anxiety-Free with Food, which ranked as the #1 bestseller on Amazon for neuropsychology. Liana is the founder of Liana's Organics, which launched a supplement for anxiety. Liana overcame many health issues through nutrition. She believes that food is medicine. She started 14 years ago when her blog, The Earth Diet, went viral. Liana is the resident health and nutrition coach at Complete Wellness NYC. She regularly appears on television, including ABC News, CBS, Doctors TV, Dr. Oz, The Wendy Williams Show, Fox News, and NBC. She has also been interviewed for Forbes, Yahoo Beauty, U.S. Weekly Women's Own, Pop Sugar, iHeartRadio, and more. Liana was born and raised in Outback, Australia, and currently resides in New York, where she has lived since 2010. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I am really excited to hear from today's guest because her story is incredible. Her cancer story is incredible. I can't wait for you guys to hear her story and hear everything that she's doing now. And so welcome to the show, Liana.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you and all of your amazing subscribers and followers.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be here. You have written some incredible books. You are fun to follow on Instagram, but I love your story. Do you mind telling my listeners that story and a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. Yeah, so I grew up in Outback, Australia, in the very center of Australia in a town called Alice Springs. It's literally like right in the middle of Australia when you look at the map. And I went to an Aboriginal school, so half of the kids were white and half of the kids were Aboriginal. And we had a very non-traditional type of education. So we learned a lot about Aboriginal culture. And we learned about how the Indigenous people survived and thrived off the land for thousands and thousands of years before white civilization came and before technology came. And so I was always fascinated by that. Like, wow, I mean, can you imagine us being thrown out in the outback with no technology and, no houses, and we just had to fend for ourselves. And they were so connected to nature and so connected to God all the time because they had to be. And then when I was 17, I moved to Brisbane City and I started going to university, and I started to indulge in 7-Eleven, fast foods, junk foods, because I never really had it growing up, and it became a drug for me. And also, I went through a lot of trauma as a child in my family life and did not know how to deal with the emotional turmoil of trauma, of depression and anxiety. And so I turned to food as my drug to try and get relief. And, we all know that only goes so far. We feel great. We feel this natural high for 5 or 10 minutes from the sugar or the fats, from refined sugar and bad fats, not the good stuff. So it was like a 10-minute high and then come crashing down and felt just awful, like physically and mentally, because I knew this food was so far removed from nature because of what I learned for the Indigenous people. So I knew I was eating food that had no nutritional value at all. And so I always tell myself, okay, come Monday, I'm going to start again. I'm going to be healthy. I'm never going to eat gummy bears again. And Monday always came, and I just had such strong cravings, such strong impulses that I could not control. And so I ended up in this vicious cycle of binge eating for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And that's a long time because every single day I was suffering. It really felt like a living nightmare. It felt like I was living on hell on earth. It was just terrible. And also nobody knew. I kept it to myself, which is, one of the worst things we can do with disorderly eating and binge eating. So I was suffering by myself. And then after 5 years of that, I ended up with the wake-up call that I needed. And I ended up with a 3.7 centimeter tumor in my throat right here in my lymphatic system. And it was early stages of cancer. Went and got a biopsy done and got the results back. And the doctor told me, we'd like to do surgery and cut it out. And then we'll see later down the track if you need chemo and radiation. And I was terrified of surgery because of my upbringing the indigenous people taught us that, if you get something in your body and it's an illness and you just get it cut out and you don't actually address the root cause, like the inner root cause, that is going to manifest and come up somewhere else. So I was like, okay, I need to take this opportunity and actually go deep, and I need to heal like why this happened, why I created this. And I knew I created it because of my eating habits. And so I opted out of conventional methods, and I went and worked with a naturopath and a functional doctor, and I applied everything the indigenous people taught me. And I went on a detox plan, and I started to change my foods to natural foods. And after 3 months of this, the tumor was completely dissolved.
Wow.
Completely out of my body. And so that's when I created a blog called The Earth Diet, because I was so scared to go back to my own ways. Because when I was sitting there in the hospital getting the biopsy done, feeling terrible, the only thing I wanted to do was go and eat McDonald's. I wanted to eat fries and some soft serve ice cream. And I remember thinking, like, this is terrible. I just want to go and eat something that is going to poison my body even further and make my situation worse. So that was the very first time in my entire life that I actually prayed to God. I wasn't raised with God or anything like that because it was indigenous culture. It was the first time I really prayed and surrendered and said, okay, God, if you are there, like, I need to hear from you. I need to, please show up in my life. Like, what can I do that would be bigger than myself to help get me out of this addiction and this vicious cycle of binge eating? And that's when God gave me the idea to create the Earth Diet. And that's when I created the blog, The Earth Diet, and I ate only foods from the earth for 365 days. So the principles were, every time I had a craving for junk food, like a burger, chicken nuggets, ice cream, chocolate, was that I would find a way to eat it, but in a natural, wholesome way, using ingredients that come straight from nature, God's food instead of man-made food and all this processed food. So I started to make all these recipes like chocolate balls and chocolate peanut butter cups and chicken nuggets made with a crust of almond flour and turmeric and some sea salt. And it was all so delicious. I was mind blown. It tasted amazing, and it was nourishing my body and healing my body at the same time. And that blog ended up going viral. I ended up with book deal, and that here I am, 15 years later, living in America as a dual citizen and teaching this to people every single day.
Wow, that story is incredible. And I love people that come on this podcast that have battled something hard and then have turned it into something good in their life and are trying to help others. And I feel like that is what you have done. And so thank you. And I just applaud you for doing that. But I do have some questions for you about your whole journey. First of all, how did you even know you needed to go get checked for something in your throat? Did you feel something? Were you having some pain, or what was the problem?
The tumor just popped like that. I was out at a concert one night. I was drinking some vodka. My body was so run down, so tired. I remember how I felt. And, this is the thing. You can Google it. So some cancers grow slowly over time, and some tumors just pop like that if the body's under so much stress, which is, really scary. And it's happened to a lot of people. So I was just out at a concert. I had a drink of alcohol, and then all of a sudden something just popped in my neck. And I thought it was a swollen gland, as you would, like, oh, okay, now I have a swollen gland. So I went home and I attacked it with eating some raw garlic and some ginger tea. And then after 2 weeks, it was getting bigger and bigger, and I was getting worse. I was so tired. So I went to see a naturopath, and she told me, you need to go to the hospital because this looks real bad. And she had throat cancer at one point. So she sent me to the hospital. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known to go to the hospital, And then we did the biopsy. It actually got worse after the biopsy. The biopsy can aggravate it because they stick a needle in to numb it, and then they stick a needle into the mass to pull a piece of it out. So that was, that was a lot. But that's how I knew to go to the hospital. So, thank goodness for her.
Yeah, thank goodness for her. Okay, so you see that you brought this cancer upon yourself. And so are you talking, I'm assuming, the emotional part of it and the physical part of it. So I want to talk about both, but let's start with the physical. So do you say you brought it upon you because of the foods you were eating? Is that what you think caused it?
I think it was both, because especially because it was in my neck. So, a lot of people believe that certain cancers or diseases, illnesses are manifest in the body in certain areas based on the emotional buildup or the emotional turmoil or the unhealed trauma in the area of the body. So for me, it was in my throat, and the naturopath explained to me that was because I was suppressing so much from my childhood, so much trauma, that I wasn't, expressing it. I wasn't communicating it. Everything was suppressed. And it just totally, it made sense to me. And, I went through all types of abuse, sexual abuse and emotional abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, and didn't tell anyone. So just kept it all in. And because I didn't tell anyone, because I was just living with that on my own, all the emotions came up as showed themselves as anxiety and depression and PTSD. I didn't know what they were, being, I was 16 when all this started. And so then I went to food to try and relieve that. And so then I would start eating toxic food, every single day, refined sugars, trans fats, all these preservatives, all these additives that were in the food. And so we know now that those things cause cancer. Those are fact. That's not controversial. It's not a conspiracy theory. Science shows us that, yes, refined sugar can cause cancer. And, all these carcinogen ingredients cause cancer, and all these neurotoxic ingredients cause cancer. So I do think it was a combination of both. It was unhealed trauma and me eating a lot of toxic foods that were providing no nutritional value. I basically deprived myself of nutrition for 5 years.
And it's so incredible to hear, because there are people out there, especially on social media, that are like, oh, if it's in our food, it's safe. You can eat whatever you want here in America. And, you and I are both trying to teach that that is not the case at all. But unfortunately, there's still those that believe it.
Yeah, and that's scary and dangerous for the people who believe that. I just pray that God will, show you the truth and open your eyes, because you don't want to be a victim of that. And there's so much science behind it. In all of my books, I have a ton of science that shows that, yeah, even though these foods are allowed in the food industry, they are proven to be carcinogenic and neurotoxic. And also, there are 30 ingredients that are banned in every other country except for America. Why is that? They let it in here in America. And, it's sad. It has to change. But until then, we have to know for ourselves, okay, this ingredient, I can't pronounce it. It comes from a lab. I can't go out to my garden and pick it. So, I don't think I should be eating that.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Okay, so I'm so curious about the Earth diet, because you talked about it a little bit. Well, I've heard you talk about this, about the number one anti-cancer food. What do you think that is, and why it is so effective?
Well, when I was putting together my book, Cancer Free with Food, I was so curious. I was like, okay, what's the number one anti-cancer food on Earth? Like, what's the food that helps kill cancer cells and makes our body inhospitable to cancer? And that's what we want to do, is create an in-hospital environment for cancer so that cancer cannot grow. And so I did a ton of research and went down all the rabbit holes and discovered that the number one food that kills cancer cells is broccoli sprouts. So not broccoli also helps, but broccoli sprouts. And the reason is because broccoli sprouts have a compound called sulforaphane. And sulforaphane has been studied for over 30 years at Johns Hopkins Hospital and University. Dr. Talalay is one of the leading advocates in the entire world for broccoli sprouts, because the sulforaphane, every time they did a test on rodents and humans, no cancer and tumors could hold its original form with sulforaphane present. Sulforaphane broke down tumors and killed cancer cells. So powerful. So when you read that more in my book, you just, you get this visual and it's mind-blowing. So now I take sulforaphane once a day for prevention. And if anyone has cancer, I recommend taking it 3 times a day. At, morning, in the middle of the day, and the end of the day. And you can take it by eating broccoli sprouts, and you can grow your own broccoli sprouts too, which is really amazing to have that connection to the sprouts. But you can also get sulforaphane in the form of capsules if you want to just take, pills to make it easier. You can also get at brockshop.com, and you get a packet, like one single serving, mix it into water and take a shot. So you could do that 3 times a day. You can also add your broccoli sprouts to a smoothie or to a juice. And so there's a lot of great ways that you can get the sulforaphane into your system.
Yeah, that is fascinating about that. I also know, I feel like microgreens are becoming trendy, and there are broccoli microgreens that also have the sulforaphane in it. And so that's another easy way to throw those, in your salad, in a burrito, in a smoothie, whatever. So I love that you talked about that. But I also know that you talk about other foods that are best for preventing other types of cancers. Are there certain other foods that are good for those other cancer types?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have the dark leafy greens category as well, like spinach and collard greens and kale, and they help to prevent cancer and also help to heal cancer as well. And even if someone is going through chemo and radiation, obviously all of these foods are excellent to help support your immune system and help protect your brain from chemo brain and all those kinds of symptoms. So dark leafy greens, really take top place in terms of prevention. So that's why I always encourage people to, if they only do one thing, only hear one message from me today and from all my books, it's to have dark leafy greens every single day, whether that's in a salad or cooking it or in a smoothie or a fresh green juice. But getting those dark leafy greens, they're so, so powerful. And then also omega-3 fats are excellent as well for prevention, because we all need those healthy omega-3 fats. Our brain is mostly made up of fat and it thrives on fat. We need it. And so that's another really good hack too. If you feel like you're always craving fried foods and fast foods, it might be because you're deficient in omega-3 fatty acids, and you can get a blood test done to see if that's true. And if you are, then you will be craving fast foods. I was always craving fries and fast foods. And as soon as I started eating the right fats, the omega-3 fats, through things like avocado, coconut, olive oil, wild salmon, flaxseed, hemp seed, chia seed, then all of a sudden those cravings went away, because my body was just, and brain was so nourished on all these healthy fats that I needed. So that's another great one also for prevention.
That is really fascinating, because you do hear about people often that are like, oh, I just crave fried foods or the French fries or, the fast food. So that is fascinating that it might just be they're low in omega-3s. And a lot of Americans are low in omega-3s because we get way too many omega-6s and our ratio gets off balance. Okay, so I'm curious though, in this Earth diet, do you have to be vegan?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, so the Earth diet is all about going back to nature, back to Earth, and living how the indigenous people lived for thousands of years before white civilization came. So if we look back to the ancient civilizations, to our paleo ancestors, to the indigenous people, what did they eat? And it's fascinating because all the indigenous people from all around the world, whether it was Australia or Africa or the Native Americans here in America, they all ate based on what was surrounding them, what God naturally provided them in their environment. So the indigenous people, say, in the middle of Australia, they didn't have seafood, right? There was no ocean. So they never ate seafood, but they ate kangaroos. Right. So that was their main source of protein. And then they also ate all the vegetation that was around them. So they did eat a ton of plant-based things like bush vegetables, fruits, herbs, seeds, nuts, and spices. But they also ate protein and fats from the animals. And every indigenous culture around the world believed in eating the animals that were in the area, because that's how they survived and that's how they got their protein and fats. And the indigenous people from the coast, they went to seafood as their main source of protein and fats. But all of them had something in common. They all had a very plant-rich diet, but they were not vegans. And, they had a really harmonious relationship with animals. They believed that, it was a gift from God to help them sustain their life. And they also were so grateful and thankful to the animal. They said, thank you for giving your life to us, for sustaining our life. And they also, when they would eat the animal, they would have a big ceremony and the whole tribe would get together. And it was a really special thing. They weren't just eating, kangaroo breakfast, lunch, and dinner and for snacks. It wasn't factory farmed kangaroo. It was a really special thing. And when they ate the protein from the animal, they let the protein sink into their body, into their cells for a few days. And then they use that as energy. Then they would go out and hunt for more animals after that. So it wasn't excessive, how we're eating meat today and all the factory farming and how toxic it was. The meat was pure. And so it has changed a lot. But, there are people who do the earth diet who choose to be vegans, and that's great. We probably need some people to be vegans on this earth to help balance things out. And especially blood type A's, they can thrive more on being vegans. But it really is all about going back to nature and being in harmony with nature and in harmony with God, and really trusting that of what's the right ratio for you in terms of protein and fats and in terms of being plant rich and plant-based.
I love your philosophy that God provided in their surroundings everything in nature that they needed. And I feel like he does the same today, but we mess it up. We, do these farm factory type things for all the animals, and we're giving them all these hormones and different antibiotics and all sorts of things, and they're not grazing on the grass or pecking in the dirt or whatever it may be. And so I love that philosophy of yours. Okay, I also know that you like bentonite clay, or that you use bentonite clay. And so tell us about that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Bentonite clay, you guys, is something that can really help purify and cleanse your body during this time. And during this time, we are living in a very, very toxic environment. We have more heavy metals in the air than ever before. We have more pollutants, more toxins. We have more viruses in the air as well, more dust particles, toxic particles. Plus, we have all these heavy metals and these crazy toxins in our food. So bentonite clay it's actually from wherever around the world where a volcano erupted and it became lava. The lava broke down into ash, and it's called bentonite clay. So there was a volcano in Australia, Hawaii, India. There was one in Utah, Redmond, Utah, in America. And so the indigenous people from all around the world in these areas, they would use the bentonite clay and they would drink it to purify their body. And this was back when there weren't heavy metals in the air and environmental toxins and all the fast food, right? But they were still purifying their body. Oh, Egyptians also used it as well. They also use it to mummify their bodies, because what it does is when we drink it, and this is talking about food grade bentonite clay, okay? Because some of it's just for the face. When we drink it, it has strong magnetic properties, and it attracts worms, toxins, heavy metals, parasites like a magnet. And it takes it out of the body when the bentonite clay leaves the body. So it cleans the body, it purifies the body. So when I had the tumor, I went to get a live blood test done, and which are amazing. I recommend everyone go and get that done, because you can see what's happening in your blood like live time. And so I went and got that done, and I was shocked by what I saw. In my blood, I had little worms crawling around everywhere in my blood, riddled with parasites. It was so disturbing just to imagine that was inside of me, all these parasites. And the doctor told me, you have this because you've been eating conventional meat. You've been eating meat that's unclean. And this is why we need to stick to organic, pasture-raised, clean meat, where the animals are eating from the pastures and not eating all these hormones and antibiotics and all this, really toxic stuff. So I was mortified. And he said, what you can do is start drinking bentonite clay, and it's going to absorb all that and clean out your blood and take it out of your body. So I did some research on all of this, and I started drinking it immediately. And I did feel, you drink it and you feel like, wow, like purified, cleansing. It's the greatest feeling. And so I've been drinking that now for 16 years.
Wow.
And I used to drink it every single day, when I was sick. Now I'll drink it like once a week or twice a week or something. I have a big bottle of it up there somewhere. I'm drinking it this week. Just whenever I feel like I need to do a cleanse and purify, I'll drink it. And it's also so fun. It's like, okay, we're drinking lava. It's just so cool. And it's just another, God provides for us to heal and gives us all the tools that we need. And we just need to, know about it and learn about it. And the one I drink now comes from Redmond in Utah, and it's food grade. You can get it from Amazon. It's so inexpensive, which is the amazing thing too. It's not $1,000, it's like $25 for a tub that lasts you a while. And the one on Amazon, the Redmond one, it gives you instructions for facial mud, but that is the food grade one. That's the one I've been drinking ever since I've been in the United States. FDA made them change it to say only for facial mud because we all know about the FDA and their crazy rules. But that's the one that I drink. And yes, you can use it as a face mask too. It is like nature's Botox. It's incredible. I've also been using it as a face mask once a month since I was 21. And it's incredible. It takes a layer of your skin off. It leaves your skin feeling so nice. This is what the Egyptians used to do as a beauty hack as well. And so we're just, bringing it back to 2024.
Yeah, I love bentonite clay. In fact, it's in our tooth powder, but it's also in our face scrub. And we put it in the face scrub because it helps pull out those toxins as well. And so just like you said, clarifies your skin and it feels so good. But I do have a question about drinking the bentonite clay, because I've tried multiple times to drink bentonite clay and it grosses me out. And so are you doing like a cup of water with like a tablespoon of it in it, or how do you do it?
Yeah, so I'll get a big bottle of water and I will just add, if you do 1 cup of water and 1 tablespoon, like that's a good ratio. But I'll do like a quarter cup into a big bottle of water and I'll just shake it up. And yes, if you, down the bottom, it's gluggy because it doesn't all blend in properly. So, you don't have to drink that part. I'd always just leave that down the bottom and I'll just drink the part that does dissolve. So it just tastes like a murky kind of water or like a cloudy kind of water. But yeah, if you drink right down to the bottom and you get the glugs, the consistency can throw people off. So, just try and avoid that. Just leave it at the bottom. I just keep filling it up with water. So I just keep using the glugginess down the bottom to just keep creating more and more of a drink.
Well, I love that bentonite clay is becoming more popular. I know I've got some nieces who, when they vaccinate their little babies, will then do the bentonite clay on the bottom of their feet afterwards, just to help pull out those heavy metals and things like that. So I love that you suggest it and you still use it and love it. But I'm curious, do you have, because that obviously is a very unconventional thing to do when you have cancer. So do you have other unconventional things that you did or that you like today?
Yeah. A lot. I believe in the functional approach, and I'm a certified nutritionist and my book is all about the functional approach. People should do what's right for them, do medicine and natural diet, or do conventional, surgery or treatments and natural diet. But everyone needs a nutrition plan when you're going through cancer. And that's what my book helps you find too, is like, okay, what nutrition plan and what natural alternatives do I want to incorporate with my plan? And it's a very custom approach for every single person. So for me, what worked is a colonic and a coffee enema. So my gut was in such bad shape. It was terrible. I was so sick and I was so bloated all the time. And because I was binge eating on so much junk food, it was an eating disorder, and I wasn't able to throw up. I couldn't have bulimia because I just couldn't bring myself to throw up. But a lot of people, what we do is we take laxatives, and it's the same thing but in the opposite way. So through that 5 years, I was taking a ton of laxatives to get the food out of my body, so I didn't have to hold it and just to get rid of it. And so because I was doing laxatives for so long, I lost the muscles in my bowel walls. And so my bowels were not operating properly. And so I wasn't going to the bathroom every single day, which is a problem. And, I have gut healing programs on my website, and I'm also work with people to get the gut working. Like you need to be going every single day because that's the healthy way to do it, every morning. And so that's what I help people achieve. But that was not happening for me and for a lot of people. So the naturopath told me, she said, we're going to focus on healing your gut and cleaning out all the stuff in your gut, because when we do that, the tumor from your lymphatic system is going to drain out and everything's going to correct itself. Like once you have healthy gut health, you have healthy everything. And so I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense. I understand it, but I was just going with her guidance. And so we did a colonic and a coffee enema every single day we alternated for 2 months, which is a lot. I mean, that's an excessive amount of colonics and coffee, but I needed it because I was in such bad shape. My gut was terrible. So she really helped like clean out my gut. And wow, I mean, it completely healed and transformed me. I talk about that as being one of the main things that really helped me. It was the bentonite clay, the colonics, the coffee enemas. I also did reflexology. I also did massage. I wasn't able to exercise. I was also diagnosed with chronic fatigue. I was sleeping sometimes 18 hours a day. I was only awake for like 6 hours.
Wow.
And I couldn't, even go outside for a walk. And so she had this vibrating plate, this Vibroflex machine, which now you can buy on Amazon for $200. It's amazing. So I would stand on that for about 20 minutes a day just to help with circulation. And that was my exercise hack. And then I also started to drink juice. So I started juicing beet juice and green juice. And I had sometimes 6 juices a day, like every hour I was drinking juice, because I learned that was the fastest way to put nutrition back into our body. It was the fastest way to restore proper nourishment and nutrition, all the vitamins and minerals through juicing. And I had the visual that every time I would drink a juice, the juice would go in and the nutrients would go into my cells, and that was building my new cells. That was building my new body. So every time I drank a juice, I was like, okay, nutrition in, cancer out. Like I visualized my old body dying and new cells were replacing. And so I just wanted to drink juice all the time because I was like, hey, getting my new body, my old body's dying, new body, cancer out. So the juicing really helped as well with that. And that was another natural remedy that I did.
Okay, so some of this sounds like the Gerson therapy. Is that what you were following?
Quite close, actually. Yeah. So the Gerson therapy is colonics, coffee enemas, a lot of juicing. It is a lot of raw foods. And whereas with my approach, I tried to do raw vegan, and I thought doing juicing and fasting was going to help me because at the time that was like all the rage. It was like, if you get cancer, go raw, go vegan, start juicing. So I did it. And after day 3, I actually was worse. The tumor was bigger. I was so tired. I had no energy. I was cold. I was freezing. I had no energy to fight it. And so the naturopath looked at me and she said, okay, we need to change the approach. We're still going to have a lot of raw foods and a lot of juices and all of that, but we need to get some cooked foods in you and some warm foods. And you also need to have some animal protein when you feel intuitively like you need it. And so that's the difference between my approach and, Gerson. And Gerson works for a lot of people, right? It's amazing. But for some people, especially if they have a brain tumors or brain cancer, certain cancers we've seen in case studies require different foods. So brain cancers really thrive better on mostly fats. And a lot of people have healed brain cancer and brain tumors off eating animal fats and animal proteins, as well as all the plants and the vegetables. But going vegan and just going raw foods, doesn't work for everyone. So that's why it's a very, individual case, very case by case kind of situation.
Yeah, I love that you say it's case by case and depends on the different type of cancer you have as to, what's going to work best for you. Let's take a quick break to hear from our show sponsor. Looking for a fragrance that's as kind to your hormones as it is to the planet? Dive into the world of Dime Beauty. I love that Dime Beauty is all about transparency and quality, offering EWG-verified perfumes free of endocrine-disrupting chemicals. Say goodbye to parabens, sulfates, and phthalates, and hello to a scent you can feel great about. Dime's beauty collection is vegan, cruelty-free, and features 9 irresistible perfume scents and 2 sophisticated colognes. My personal favorite is 7 Summers. Each fragrance is crafted with natural ingredients such as organic sugarcane alcohol and botanical extracts. To celebrate their anniversary sale, Dime Beauty's biggest event of the year, you can get 25% off site-wide. Use promo code JUSTINGREDIENTS25 for 25% off. Hurry, this offer lasts until August 26. Visit dimebeauty.com and again use code JUSTINGREDIENTS25. Now back to the show. Okay, you just talked about like visualizing the new body and like the old body going out. And so do you believe that like visualization and your mindset and affirmations and prayers and things like that are all part of the journey to help heal cancer?
Absolutely. Yes. I really believe that those are another tool for us to utilize to help heal and to change our body. And, science tells us that every 7 years we get a brand new body. So we get new bones, new organs, new blood. I mean, it's fascinating science. Definitely look it up. So once we know that, we can say, okay, so in 7 years from today, my body is going to be completely different. Okay, so if your body isn't different in 7 years, and if you're still having the same chronic health issue, it's because you're holding that pattern with the same thoughts, with the same visualization, and so you're creating that. And so with God and with using affirmations and prayer and visualizations, we really can create an entire new life, a new body for ourselves. And it can take 7 years, or it might not take that long. It might take a lot less, but it's very, very, very powerful. And also Tony Robbins talks a lot about this too, about creating the neural pathways in the brain. So when we have neural pathways in the brain and we're thinking certain things about our body and we're eating certain things to support that, we're walking in that because it's in our neural pathways and it becomes, physical. But Tony Robbins says, even if you don't have it now, like say if you have a goal of like, okay, I want to lose, 50 pounds, or I want to heal cancer. You start thinking in your brain what you would be thinking when that actually happens. So you will be thinking differently. Like how I think now that I'm healed and I'm so healthy every single day and I feel amazing every day, I think very different thoughts to how I was thinking, 16 years ago. And so I get all of my clients to do affirmations every day. And I give them affirmations of like, wow, I cannot believe I lost 50 pounds. I'm so happy every single day. How I feel amazing. I'm cancer free. I'm so grateful to be alive and cancer free. So even though it hasn't happened yet, you start thinking it now because you want to activate new neural pathways in the brain, get them fired up. So eventually those become stronger, and also that you can start walking into that. So it becomes your reality. So a lot of science behind it, very effective.
I love that you talk about the neural pathways because Dr. Keneally, who is huge in, the cancer world, she talks about how your cells listen to you. They hear what you're saying. And so it's a different take as to what you're saying, but the same thing in that your body's listening, whether it's the neural pathways or the cells, they're listening, and we need to give our body those positive affirmations and the positive visualization and things like that. So I love that. Okay, I have another question that you mentioned. When you said you had your live blood test, you were talking about the little worms in your blood. That intrigued me. Do you think, I don't know how to say this. Do you think parasites contribute to cancer?
They do, yes. Actually, there's quite a lot of studies on that. And Chris beat cancer. Chris Walk, he has an amazing book, and he beat bowel cancer, and he talks about parasites causing cancer. And there are a lot of doctors and experts that talk about parasites causing cancer as well. So yeah, I do believe that. That's why for prevention, drinking bentonite clay is a really great thing for prevention too.
Well, most people are walking around with parasites without even knowing it. And so do you think that people should just be doing bentonite clay or parasite cleanses or work with somebody? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think, get started on the clay now, but I do test for people, and, I would love to work with you. I work with people one-on-one and have my private practice. And so I put people through all the tests. And so we do a parasite test, wherever you are in the world, we can find out where you can do the test. I work with Dr. Rob Graham, who's in New York City, and he is Harvard-trained medical doctor, but he's also functional. And so we do all the tests there. And he actually can test for, wherever you are in the country. And so we do a parasite test, a stool test, so we see everything that's in your gut, all your bacteria, your microbiome, and of course, all the blood tests as well. So I love to get all the data on people. I think it's just very empowering to see, where you're at, what's going on with your body. Then we really know how to address it. It's like if you have parasites, all right, let's drink the clay every day for a few months. If we need to change your microbiome, so let's get some probiotics in there and change the food. Or you're deficient in omega-3 fatty acids or magnesium, like let's get supplements in and the food. So it's really empowering to get those tests done, just so you can really see, what's going on for sure.
Well, I love that you are like a test, don't guess type of person. Like just figure it out and see what's going on in the individual body and work from there. So I love that. So you obviously then take patients by telehealth anywhere in the US?
Yeah, actually, I work with people all over the world, mostly in the US, but yeah, everything's virtual.
Okay. So I'm curious, because this is what I always think about. I always think about if I found out I had cancer, how would I know what approach to take? Like, what would I feel like is the right approach for me? So I'm assuming others out there, like, okay, when you find out you have cancer, or someone you know or love that has cancer, how do you know what approach to take?
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, you want to work with professionals. So in the medical industry. So you really want to surround yourself with the right doctor, for you. And I always say you need to get 3 opinions. Okay. If 3's too much, get at least 2. Do not go with one doctor, because you will find that when you get 2 or 3 opinions, they actually very often are saying different things and recommending different treatment plans. So, get 3 different opinions, and then you can make a really informed decision about what you want to do. And, you want to use your own intuition, you want to pray, use God, and use the professionals. And then figure out a treatment plan that really feels empowering to you, okay? Some people, they come to me and they say, I cannot do any conventional treatments. It doesn't feel right. I just need you to help me go natural. Or some people come to me and say, I'm going to do chemo and I need a nutrition plan. So, I just am all about helping people feel empowered with their choice. And if you tick all those boxes, you are increasing your chance of really healing and beating this cancer. And then the other part of it is you, of course, need a nutrition plan. So, get my book, Cancer Free with Food. It's on Amazon. It's one of the top 100 cancer books of all time because it's such an easy read. You can read it in one day. And I set it up like that so you could feel like not overwhelmed, because getting cancer, of course, is so overwhelming. You can read my book in a day, and there's different chapters for different cancers, but it gives you the basic nutrition education that you need to know about, of the things you want to cut out right away, the foods that have been proven to cause cancer and contribute to cancer. Obviously, you want to remove those. Then you want to add in all the foods that have been proven to help heal and kill cancer cells, and start incorporating these foods, start ordering these supplements from Amazon and things like that. So you can get into action. So that's my approach if someone gets diagnosed with cancer today. And that can eliminate so much stress as well. And just, you want to feel empowered. And my mom, she was diagnosed with advanced breast cancer, stage 4 in both breasts.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, that's, severe. And I said to her, okay, Mom, what do you want to do? What feels right to you? And she said, the doctors are saying I have to get surgery and chemo and radiation, all of it. And I said, well, what feels right? And she said, honestly, I'll get surgery. I want to get it cut out. I feel like that'll make me feel more confident. It's cut out of my body. She said, but I cannot do chemo. I cannot do radiation. She said, I feel like I won't make it, and it's just not for me. And so we supported her in that. And then she said, I'm going to do you a nutrition plan. So she went on the earth diet. So she started juicing. She started juicing all the vegetable juices, eating raw garlic, doing all the things that are in my book. And she beat breast cancer, and she's still cancer-free this day, 12 years later. And doctors called her for about 6 months after and just were pressuring her so much, saying, you have to get chemo, you have to have radiation, it's going to come back. They were really aggressive, telling her, like, it's going to come back. And she said, I cannot do it. It just doesn't feel right. So, I really believe in that the person really has to do what feels right for them.
Wow, that's an incredible story. And I love that your approach is to do what's right for them. But you also take patients that are not dealing with cancer, right? Just for health issues or overall health.
Any health issue, yeah, whether it's IBS or, eating disorders, acne even, psoriasis, literally every single health issue on earth can be improved and healed using, nature's foods, using God's foods. And it's amazing. There's so much science behind it. There's a ton of case studies. Now, for 16 years, I've seen people heal from everything. And we're in a healing epidemic, okay? Yes, I know we're in a sick epidemic too. A lot of people are getting sick, but we are in a healing epidemic. I've literally seen people heal from everything and anything. And I get a lot of patients who have cancer, pancreatic cancer, okay? Pancreatic cancer is one of the worst cancers you can get. And it's one of the hardest ones to beat. And doctors say, this is a death sentence. And I have a ton of patients that come to me and say, doctor said I've got 2 months to live. And you know what? Many of them are still alive today, 8 years later, because they changed their diet. They went through treatments, they changed their diet, and they're still alive. Not all of them. Some of them may have lived 2 years, but doctors said you've got 2 months, and they live for 2 years, 3 years. So I've seen it with my own eyes. It's so possible, and it's amazing. And we need to share more healing stories like this. And there's case studies and testimonials on my website. And Chris Beat Cancer has a ton of testimonials on his website as well. And so, yeah, it's just really, read these testimonials so that you know what's possible, because that will give you hope.
Yeah, I love that you say that. And I feel like people are waking up to that there is healing out there. And it's not just for cancer, there's healing out there for depression and anxiety. And like you said, all these different health issues. And so I love that you say that. Okay, if someone is listening right now, because I know I get these little questions like this, they always want to know like the number one thing or the most important thing. So I know they'll say like, okay, if I want to change my diet, what is the number one thing, the number one food I should start with getting rid of? Because sometimes it seems very overwhelming to just change everything overnight. And so if someone's listening, what's like the number one food you would tell them to get rid of?
The number one food to get rid of, like the worst food on earth that you could put into your body, according to, science and also case studies, is refined sugar. It's white sugar, it's corn syrup, it's refined sugar, because our bodies were not designed to break down such refined sugar. And if we look to nature, we can say, okay, well, what sugars does nature naturally provide? What sweets does God want us to eat? We can look to nature and we can see, okay, fruit, there's maple syrup, there's honey, dates, monk fruit, stevia, as long as it's not processed, like, because there can be unhealthy stevia as well. But all of these things come from nature, and God wants fruits to be like our candy. We're meant to get excited about, okay, wow, I'm going to eat some cherries or an apple or a nectarine. We're meant to be excited and lit up because those are our candy. And so refined sugar, the problem is, cane sugar stalks, for example, cane sugar stalks are natural. So in Australia, you can go to the cane sugar farm and you can pick up a cane stalk and you can break it open and you can suck out the cane juice. Okay, that's a natural, wholesome sugar that our body knows how to break down. Our brain knows how to break it down. But as soon as they take that, they put it into processing, they heat it up so like high heat, and they break it down into the crystals, and then they bleach it white. I mean, it's just becomes so toxic. It's the process that makes it become toxic. And our brain doesn't know what to do with it. It is a neurotoxin. It is actually proven to be anxiogenic, which means that it causes anxiety for every single person who eats refined sugar. No one gets away with eating refined sugar without it triggering the nervous system to create anxiety, because it's an anxiogenic. And I talk about that in my Anxiety Free with Food book, because I also had to heal anxiety with certain foods as well. And so refined sugar just has to go. Your body is such a beautiful temple, and you just don't want to put that in there. It's, and science says that we eat 1 tablespoon of white refined sugar, and it takes 8 hours for the immune system to come back and be normal and regulated again. It just takes out all the energy, it weakens your immune system, and it's just so toxic. And with the Earth diet, it's amazing and so exciting because, I was so addicted to refined sugar. That was my number one thing, like sugar. I would eat gummy bears for breakfast. I would find gummy bears in my bed. Like, I was like sugar addict. And when I created the Earth diet, I was so excited from day one because I was like, oh my gosh, I can have natural sugars. I don't need to deprive myself. I can embrace it and enjoy it. But as long as it comes natural from earth, and also when we eat sugar that comes from fruit, we're also getting fiber, which helps to balance out the blood sugar levels. And so this is how we can have our cake and eat it too. You know, you want to make sure the cake is sweetened with coconut sugar, for example, not refined sugar. That's how you can have your cake and eat it too. So as soon as people know that they can replace refined sugar with all these amazing, beautiful natural sugars, they get excited and you forget about the refined sugar. It's called replacement therapy in psychology. And it really, really works. So I always tell people, like, if you're starting the earth diet, like from today, for example, the next craving you have for something sugary, whether it's gummy bears or chocolate or cookie dough, just think, okay, how can I eat this in a natural way? And I've got recipes for cookie dough made with honey and coconut sugar. And it tastes incredible. It's going to nourish your body, not poison it. So yeah, I'm just excited for everyone to make that switch.
I love that you just swap it for something else, that you don't have to say, oh, never eat sugar again. You're just saying, no, let's use a better choice sugar when we make the cookie dough. And so I love that approach. And it's so true. On social media, unfortunately, people are saying like all sugar is sugar. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like the sugar from fruit, like you said, is wrapped in fiber and has the vitamins and minerals and things that go along with it. And so it's so different. So we have to be smart to distinguish between like truth and wrong out there. You know what I mean?
I mean, that statement just blows my mind away because say all sugar is equal. No, common sense. Come on, we all have sense, right? We need to tap into that more. Like if you eat a tablespoon of white sugar and a tablespoon of honey, your body is reacting very, very differently to it. The honey is not a neurotoxin. It's not anxiogenic. It's not giving you anxiety. It's completely different. So, and it has nutrients and vitamins in it, whereas refined white sugar doesn't. So, yeah, and it blows my mind. Some very intelligent doctors say that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, you do have a book though on anxiety, because we've talked about like the cancer stuff and the Cancer Free with Food book. But just tell me a little bit about your anxiety book, because I do have a lot of followers that deal with anxiety.
Yeah, so this was after I had healed the cancer. I was having anxiety. And, I was like, why? Like, I felt like I was dealing with things emotionally, spiritually. I was, doing all the healing stuff. And so I went to a functional doctor that I worked with out of the Complete Wellness in New York, where I work with clients. And so she said to me, we need to do a blood test for you. And she said, we're going to test to see if you're deficient in anything, because deficiencies cause anxiety. And I was like, I didn't even think about that. I didn't put those two things together. So we did a blood test, and sure enough, I was deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. And if we are deficient in omega-3 fatty acids, one of the symptoms is anxiety. Same as if we're deficient in vitamin D or magnesium, we get anxiety. And so she said, you need to start taking fish oil supplements. And I was resistant at the start because I was like, I don't want to have fish every single day. But, I was like, you know what? I'd rather not feel anxiety. So I tried it, and people can get vegan omega-3 supplements as well if they don't want to have fish every day. But after 3 days of me taking the omega-3 supplements, night and day difference. I couldn't believe it. I felt so different. And then I went down the rabbit hole of all the deficiencies that cause anxiety, and then how we can fix that using different foods and things. And so that's when I came out with the Anxiety Free with Food book. And it came out during COVID, so it was very timely. And for some people, anxiety is purely a physical thing. And so if you get those tests done, it can reveal if you are having any deficiencies, or you can just try taking omega-3 supplements or eating more wild fish and chia seed, hemp seed, flax seed. And also I take magnesium supplements now as well. So yeah, it completely changed. It was a very easy, quick change.
It's the same with depression. Sometimes it's just nutrient deficiencies. And if we can fix those nutrient deficiencies, we just feel so much better. So I love that you talked about that. As we wrap up here, I know people are going to want to hear more from you and learn more from you and find you. So where is the best place for them to reach you?
Yeah, so my website is theearthdiet.com. And then you can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, X, all of that at The Earth Diet, or my name, Liana Werner-Gray. And I'm on there every single day posting health tips and recipes and chatting with you guys. So definitely come and say hi. And I can't wait to chat with you more and see how I could help you with your health.
And then also tell them, can you find all of your books on Amazon or on your website? Where's the best place?
Yeah, all my books are on Amazon. So Cancer Free with Food, The Earth Diet is on there as well, Anxiety Free with Food, and 10-minute recipes. So all 4 of my books you can get on Amazon. And you can get in Audible and Kindle and physical.
And the Earth Diet is not just for those that have cancer. It's for anybody that wants to live a healthier lifestyle, correct?
Absolutely. The Earth Diet is for every single human because it's all about going back to nature and nourishing your body the best way that you can from now until the rest of your life. And, with all these nutrients, it gives you so much more energy. It's just the best feeling ever. It's great for mental health. It's great for energy, for gut health. It's just a night and day difference. And it really just transforms your health. You're going to feel amazing.
Yeah, your Earth Diet is really how we should eat. Like you said, it's how God gave us nature to heal us and nourish us on a daily basis. So I love that. I always end my podcast with asking my guests what they have found to be the best ingredient in life. What would you say it is?
I would say it's chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is in, dark leafy greens, and it's the compound that gives you oxygen and energy, protects your cells. And that's why I want everyone to have dark leafy greens every single day so that you get that chlorophyll into your system. You can also buy on Amazon chlorophyll drops as well and just drop it into water, but just drink that every day. That's the easiest way to start by getting the dark leafy greens in, is just taking the tincture and dropping it into water. So chlorophyll is, I found, the best ingredient for life.
I love that. Plus, chlorophyll really feeds our mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cells. And if we can give our cells good nutrients and good food, then the whole way to stay away from cancer is having healthy cells. So I love that you chose that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for having me. I love your products so much. And they're just helping so many people. And I just love your products.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know you are busy, but I know my listeners have learned a lot. They'll continue to learn from you. And I just love what you're doing out there. Like I said earlier in the show, I just love those that are trying to do good in the world after experiencing hard things in life. And so thank you for everything that you're doing. And thank you for being here.
Thanks, Carolyn. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember to subscribe to the Just Ingredients podcast to learn more about your health and good ingredients to life. Plus, get daily tips at just.ingredients on Instagram.